for the next couple of years in Washington State. Every election that I've been cognizant of in my life has been bittersweet, because there have been people that are so deserving to win. Such good people, such good track record, such good character, and they don't make it. I've seen other people that I so want to win so badly, and they do. And so every election night, I'm cheering for those who made it across, and I'm mourning for those who were political casualties of the night. This November will be no different. As we watch on TV, we are going to cheer for those races that pulled out and gave us majorities in the House of Representatives at the federal level, who gave us majorities in the Senate. We're going to celebrate the return of Donald Trump to the presidency with J.D. Vance to put the country on the right track. We're going to be watching the races that were just described by my seatmate, Jim Walsh. And we're going to see the numbers come in, and that they're going to be different. Some are going to have fantastic returns. Some are going to struggle. And there can be a lot of that. But, well, why am I saying this? Because the fight is always worth having. And to describe that, I want to remind you a little bit of recent history about Southwest Washington. When Washington actually got started, it was fully Republican. When we had our first legislature, there were less Democrats than on my two hands in the House and the Senate. Washington was as Republican as Oklahoma is today, really. Seattle started out as a Republican hub. And we say, well, what happened? Well, there's other places that used to be heavily blue and turned red, and there are places that used to be red that turned blue. And what that indicates is that there's no such thing as an actual blue state. There's nothing about geography, there's nothing about terrain, there's nothing about an economy that dictates what political party should actually be in power. And if you actually talk to people in other states and around the world, you realize we're very much the same. So what happens with political parties getting control? It comes to just the relentless desire to be victorious for your causes. Because the Democrats here were able to take control with FDR. From FDR in the 1930s all the way up to Jim Walsh, a Republican could not win in the 19th district and hold the seat. I got the almanac picture I saw it of who's been in the seats for all those decades. I took pictures, it's on my phone. D's from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and then in 2016, some guy stumbled in. As it turns out, he didn't actually just stumble in. When Obama won, there were precincts in much of the 19th district that voted more blue than in downtown Seattle. There were parts of our district that were as blue, as liberal, as Democrat as ever. But what happened is the gentleman named Sid Snyder back in the day came up with a process, which was actually described before, is he told people, if you will retire before your term is up, we can handpick, the party will handpick your successor. Not the people, not through an election. We'll find someone and say, you look like a good pawn, a good puppet to be used. Wouldn't you like to be a state representative? And oh, sure. Well, come on in and we'll appoint you. And you're already incumbent. And we will give you signs, and then all you have to do is say, elect me, but re-elect me. I'm already a state representative. I'm already a senator. And he told people, from now on, this is the way it should be done. And it happened. Office to office to office to office. No one ever actually finished out their term. They would leave and appoint the successor. And what did that do? It emptied the Democrat bench, where everyone got so tied up in Dean Tacko and Brian Blake, and who was before Rossetti?
Rossetti.
Who was before him?
Oh, Hatfield.
Hatfield. These guys all went through this system. They all went through the initiation. And what ended up happening is you got people that were actually not tempered in the fires of an actual election to start their political campaign. They were pawns from the beginning, taken and appointed by a party apparatus. And because the Democrat Party said they'll be there forever. We can get 20 more years out of Dean Tacko. And they didn't see you guys coming. They didn't see what was going to happen. That when they had no secondary and third string people on the team to fill in case there was an injury. And then Hatfield left. They got a crazy cokehead named J.D. Rossetti to get in there. It threw out the system, and they said, wow, this didn't work out like we thought it. We thought it was always supposed to work out. No, they finally picked a crazy maniac who ruined the whole thing, and then people woke up and said, what's going on here? And that was the seat that Jim Walsh was able to get in. So then the Democrats laughed and said, all right, he got one. But we're taking it back in 2018. We're going it back because the 19th district is Democrat territory. But you had something different to say, because since Obama came in and everything was all blue, just like I said, you started to win county sheriff's races, county commissioner races, city councils, mayors, and you chipped away and you worked and you gave no quarter to the Democrats. And to this day, if you look at our district, we have 6 counties. We have Grays Harbor, Pacific County, Wahkiakum, Cowlitz, Lewis, and Thurston. And when I open up my app to see how the voting comes in, and it's colored, red and blue for the entire 6 counties are red. You have given no quarter. Democrats are not welcome to govern here because they have betrayed Southwest Washington. Well, they said, oh yes, but we are the party of the little guy and for small business and for the working person and stuff. They mismanaged your fisheries. They took away your logging in exchange for maniac environmentalists, for a rare bird that doesn't even live in these woods, and they'll block the woods off for them. They have overregulated your housing and your manufacturing and cut off jobs from the area. They've betrayed you. And now the Democrats running against us have the gall to say, things aren't so good in Southwest Washington. Jim Walsh and Joel McIntyre are bad representatives because you guys had 80 years to screw things up. And the ship, the SS Washington, is a big ship. It doesn't turn on a dime. It takes time. And we fight so hard to be able to turn things around. And Jim didn't do enough credit on the initiatives thing and why we need to keep the Democrats have a supermajority, because they will get rid of the initiative process. But I want to just brag a little bit about the political genius of Jim Walsh. What you're looking at is a person through the initiative process and proper writing of the initiatives was able to bring an entire Democrat machine to its knees. Oh, I wish you could have seen the looks on their faces. Oh, it was so great to be on the floor of the House and see the indigestion. Because they had these hard choices. They're like, we have 6 initiatives, and all of them are popular. We don't know what to do. So they had to get their best lawyers in, and the lawyers are like, Madam Speaker, you have to pass some of these. It will look so horrible if you don't. And they had to sit there and decide what to do. And then she had to make that decision, Lori Jenkins, and then go to her rabid, crazy left-wing caucus and say, we're going to be passing Jim Walsh's 3 initiatives. And how that I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in that room. Because oftentimes there is a penalty for being a minority, and there is a penalty for standing up for what's right. And that is the levers of power will say, then we're not going to hear you. There is a benefit to being a spineless coward and going along with the Democrats on everything and acquiescing and giving in and being quiet and compliant. There is a benefit because they'll say, for your compliance, we'll give you an extra few dollars on this project. For your compliance, we'll fill in your potholes a little faster next time. But if you want to throw a fit, if you want to argue, if you want to stand up for yourself, those potholes might just stay around a little bit longer. It's a type of corruption, but it's legal corruption. It is, they'll just say, well, you know what, it's just going to take a little long, like when you flip off the police all the time and then the cops take extra time to get to your house when you call. It's like, we're going to take the long way to get to your house. It's like, it just happens to be that way. So we have hard decisions to make, but the decision we make is to stand on the side of right. And that when something's wrong, we're going to say it. And if it comes with those penalties, then so be it. We're going to stand up for what's right. We're going to fight for what's right. And in a situation like that, that's what they say. Well, we're just not going to pass any of your stuff or listen to any of your requests. Jim went all the way around that, writing these perfectly written initiatives, bringing it to them, and then bringing the entire machine to a halt and to its knees. The last week of the legislature was them fighting amongst themselves how they were going to handle this. And to see the looks on their faces when it was on the floor and we were supposed to be debating it. Because if you're not familiar, the Democrats don't do the debate. Like, they won't debate. They are extraordinarily disciplined soldiers. Their leadership looks at them and do not say anything. The Republicans do the debate. You just shut up and vote yes. And they snap right in line like a good Roman soldier in the Legion, put it in their shield up, spears forward, and they just do what they're told. But in this case, there was chaos. There was people talking and debating and stuff, and the speaker looked uncomfortable, and I was just like, this is so great. We have to do this. We got to do this every time. Every time we got to write these things, but they have to be written right, and they have to be in the right. There has to be the right number. If you flood the zone with too many things, it doesn't work. And if you ask for too little, then it's not enough. So it's just the right number of initiatives written just so and executed at the perfect time to cause them the heartburn that they deserve. And they got it. We cannot let them have a supermajority. If they have a supermajority, they will amend the Constitution. They will take away your right to referenda and initiatives. That's what's at stake. Yep. We have this, we discovered not only that we knew we had it, but how do you properly utilize it? Jim figured it out. And so we have this tool now, this weapon that we have an overflowing chalice of use that we can use this anytime, all the time, as a tool. I mean, even a compliance issue, we can say, hey, give us what we want, or we will unleash the initiative. And then they go, no, we'll give you. So, I mean, we do have a debate, right? So with the debate, they're like, we say, all right, it's your guys' choice, Democrats. Do you want to stay here until 5 in the morning? And it'll be like 8 p.m. And they're like, no. And we're like, all right, then don't pass this bill. And they're like, 1 second. And they huddle. And they're like, you bring up a good point. Because we're willing to debate and talk till 5 a.m. But it's anyway. Why am I saying it? Because for all those decades, people said, "What's the point of voting? This is going to be Democrats. This whole district is run by downtown Aberdeen and downtown Longview. It's all blue, and it doesn't matter. My vote. I live here, and I'm just outvoted." And so there was just this malaise, this unwillingness to really get out there and fight to get it done. And now we've got it done. And like I said, there's no such thing as an actual blue or red state, and I believe that that's true about this district too. I'm so afraid that I'm going to wake up in 20 years and see that all our hard work has been blown and that they've taken it back, and I won't let it happen. And I know you won't let it happen either. It isn't enough to just rely on what we've done. We have to think about what we're gonna do. We have to continue to encroach. Right? We look at the map and we can see all this red, and then there's an island of blue around Puget Sound. And we have to surround that thing and choke in and encroach and just go in block by block if we have to, street by street towards downtown Seattle until we win the day. There is no other way. But for all the people over all those decades who just said, oh, the Democrats have Southwest Washington locked away, what's even the point? I hear the same thing about Washington State. They're like, well, it's Seattle runs everything, so it's sour grapes. I hate losers and I hate whiners. And it's when people are just telling me all the time that we can't. I said, what are you even doing here? What are we even trying for? What are we even doing? If it's hopeless, it's not hopeless. We can take it back if it takes till November of 2026 or 2030 or 2040. We are going to keep winning just like we did here, seat by seat, bit by bit, until we give the Democrats no quarter and no ability to govern like they have. That's my plan. I hope you guys are with me. I talked long enough, but thanks for being here.
So we are very proud of Joel. Of course, he was on active duty for several months this year. Got back in one piece. We're very proud of that. And just give Joel a round of applause. We're very glad to have you back in good shape and ready for the next round of the political battle. Thank you, Joel, for being here. We're going to go to the Q&A. We've kept you here a long time. We'll go to the Q&A in a second, but I do want to recognize we have several county races that are going to be on the ballot this year too. And as you know, you've got county commissioner races and some local races here that are important. And we've got several candidates for the county commission here. You guys want to just stand real quick and say hi? Steve Farrell in the back. Steve? We'll take some questions for a little while, and you can sit around and chat, and I encourage you all to talk to the guys running for county commission and those county, who did I leave out?
Yeah, Steve Riggs, he got me.
We got him.
He stood up.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he stood up.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want the program to go all night, but stick around after we break up and talk to these guys, and they'll tell you about the races here at the county. It's gonna be interesting. We're of course, our longtime commissioner, Arn Mortensen, front and center here, is stepping down. Arn, we're gonna miss you on the county commission. All right, we end with a few questions. You can direct them at me, but I'll hand them off to either Dan or Matt or